Palestinians in the area.
To shed more light on this, I'm delighted to interview over the phone Mr. Ambassador Medhat Meligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon to you.
Your Excellency, to start with talking about Gaza, how do you comment on the latest comments and statements released by the American President Donald Trump regarding bringing again the idea of displacing Palestinians into other countries? How do you comment on this?
Well, actually, I think Mr. Trump has given a lot of, let's say, weird statements recently, ever since even before he took place. I mean, we all remember, and still his desire to buy Greenland, or to annex Canada, or to confiscate the Panama Canal. So actually, there is a lot of ideas that has been evoked before and never saw the light. So I believe that this is one of the ideas. I don't think that we should reply to this idea in any way. But what I can say is that already the resistance movement and the Palestinian Authority have both denied this suggestion, this initiative by President Trump, and revoked it, and said that this is exactly what Israel wanted from the beginning, and that it has been always revoked by the Palestinian people. So actually, we are in no place here in Egypt to take a position in a situation where the Palestinian, the landowner themselves have refused and refuted. So I think that it is not in our position here now to argue about this idea. What I think is best is to leave this issue to the Palestinians, and they can take care of it. But on the other hand, I mean, it comes to the worst if this is officially asked to the Egyptian authorities and presidency. I believe that our position have always been, from the beginning of this war 15 months ago, that we rejected any displacement of Palestinians, whether internally or externally. We have said this several times on your platform. I mean, not even we accepted that the Palestinians can be removed from northern Gaza to central or south Gaza, or vice versa, or externally to other countries that has even mentioned their possibility to accept Palestinian citizens, such as European countries and even in the US and Canada. So this is not an idea to be studied, even since the Palestinians themselves are refusing the idea of leaving their land.
Of course. And Mr. Ambassador, talking more about what's going on inside Palestine, how do you see the latest move by the Israelis to block the return of Palestinians to northern Gaza?
Well, actually, Israel is always trying to put obstacles. And let's not forget that this deal has been snatched, actually, from the jaws of the Israelis. They never wanted this. As we all know from the beginning, the extreme right government led by Mr. Netanyahu have always promised its people three conditions to stop the war. The first one is the total eradication of Hamas, which never happened until today.
Yes.
And the second is to free the hostages by force, which couldn't be done. And the third one, to liquidate totally the Palestinian cause, which hasn't been an option on the table until today. So accordingly, this deal that was actually accepted by the Israelis due to the pressure exerted by Mr. Trump, and this was the only reason why they accepted it, because they wanted to continue the war for internal reason and for external reason. For internal reason, to keep the government alive, and for external reason, to liquidate, as we said, the Palestinian movement. So when anything that is not going the way the Israeli wants, they just try to sabotage the agreement in order to go back to the war and blame it on Hamas. This is the strategy of Egypt, that Israel have been adopting from the beginning of any agreement, even before this one, is to refuse it and try to put obstacles on the way, but to blame it on Hamas as usual.
Taken from your words, Mr. Ambassador, talking about also Hamas, that it never ended. This is a goal for Israel, but it never achieved this goal. And actually, during the process of the exchange of the detainees, Hamas has appeared on media with their weapons, with their cars, to the extent that the Israeli media has said, who were we fighting for the last period of time? How do you comment on this issue? How do you comment on the perspective that Hamas was seen by and that it never ended?
Well, I think that Hamas wants to foster a certain vision of itself as that they came out victorious. Of course, they are not victorious. I mean, we all know that the damage that has been done to the Palestinian infrastructure, civilian infrastructure on one hand, and the number of people killed during the last 15 months cannot suggest that the Palestinians have won this. Nevertheless, the idea that Israel could not achieve the three goals that we have previously said shows a certain kind of victory to Hamas. And this is what they want to foster. However, I believe that this theatrical show by Hamas, although it's important to lift the morale of the Palestinian people in Gaza and elsewhere, we should not reach the point where to provoke Israel to halt all the agreements reached. As we all know that Israel is trying to find or even fishing for an excuse to sabotage the deal. So let's not give Israel any excuse to do that. On another point also very important, I believe that the Palestinians now more than ever, they need to gather their words on one word to be able to face the common Israeli enemy towards them. I mean, we are talking about the Palestinian Authority on one hand and the resistance movements on the other hand. They have to unify their voices against Israel in order to be able to achieve anything. This division in the Palestinian line is actually destroying the credibility of the Palestinian and disabling them from taking serious measures into what's supposed to be the next step, which is to negotiate a deal that would allow a Palestinian state to be erected. Without that, we cannot reach this, and Israel will always find an excuse that the Palestinians are to Palestine. We even heard a new theory recently thinking about three-state solution. I don't know if some reports spoke about this, that we have a state in Gaza, the state in the West Bank, and the Israeli state, which makes three states.
Yes.
I think that these ideas are coming because they are not unified. They have more than ever be unified against the Israelis.
Yes, and Mr. Ambassador, also I cannot miss talking about the role of Egypt in sending humanitarian aid into Gaza, and also we have witnessed the launching of the biggest aid convoy to Gaza from Egypt, and this was with the presence of Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli. How do you comment on the role of Egypt in this issue?
Well, actually, from the beginning, I mean, we didn't speak about it because it's a given. I mean, Egypt has from day one tried and negotiated more than once the possibility of entering more and more aid, and finally when the chance is here, so Egypt is just fulfilling what it vowed itself to do from the beginning of the war, not to mention also how we are opening our hospitals to receive the wounded Palestinians and to receive the people in need for our services. We hope that this truce will last so that we can help the Palestinians to regain their life, even though that over 80% of the Palestinian facilities in the West Bank have been destroyed, even though that Israel is just today have issued a new warning to UNRWA to leave its premises in Jerusalem and elsewhere, which has been answered by the UNRWA by saying that those are United Nations places and they are immune. But we are also trying to negotiate a deal where UNRWA will stay, because they are the only power in place capable of helping to distribute the humanitarian aid in a decent manner to reach every Palestinian in need for that.
Yes, I would like to thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador Medhat Meligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you so much for these answers and your takeaways on this issue and what's going on in Gaza. Dear viewers, now we're going to have a short break and get back to this news coverage.
القوات الإسرائيلية تواصل مطاردة مئات
الدخان الأسود الكثيف المتصاعد من كل جانب. قبل لحظات كنا نتابعه لعله جرى.
الآن يتم استهداف
أهلنا في فلسطين محتاجين نقف جنبهم كتف في كتف في الوقت ده، وعشان كده مؤسسة حياة كريمة هتساهم في دعم أهلنا في فلسطين بكل المساعدات الطبية والغذائية الممكنة.